I'm now going to speak to Dr. Zweli Mkhize, who will further expand to us on the life of Dr. Zola Skweyiya. He's served with him in the NEC for some time. When he was chairman of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, he was in the NEC. Obviously, Zweli, Dr. Zola Skweyiya, how would you characterize this giant of our stalwart's life?
He was very gentle and yet very wise. And his political maturity always showed up when he was engaging in debate. He was one person that you could learn something from. And for us, the fact that he could, even during crisis time, remain calm and give you, a proper direction. He always remained a voice of reason, even during the difficult times. So we will miss him for his contribution. We will miss him, and I hope that many of us have learned from him. It can make a huge impact without really being noisy about it, being calm and quiet about it. But the fact that he has been part of the constitution-making process, everybody respected him when it came to issues of constitutionality and law. And the fact that he had been a dedicated cadre, had spent his entire life, brilliant student who could have been one of the topmost professors in law, he could have been one of the topmost lawyers or advocates, he could have even become a judge, but he dedicated his service to serving the poorest of the poor. What I liked with him, when we came out as a Minister of Social Welfare, we told him there's too much corruption here. He said, I'm going to deal with it. And what he did, he went out and said to people, look, we want to get rid of corruption, but we'll give you amnesty. Come out. Tell us what has been happening. Just that approach opened up a whole lot of people. I think there were more than 4,000 people who came out and said what they were doing wrong. I think that we need that kind of leadership and wisdom. May his soul rest in peace.
Dr. Mkhize, I'm going to ask you a more personal question. You are part of that collective that Dr. Zola Skweyiya spoke openly against the ANC leadership. He was a very staunch critic. You and your collective, led by the then President Jacob Zuma, closed the door on Dr. Zola Skweyiya at Luthuli House. Well, to not grant them the meeting that they had wanted. Do you regret following up on that decision that your collective in the top 6 took at the time?
Well, there was no such a decision to close that door. However, that it happened, I think it is the saddest of any actions to be taken to anybody, let alone the fact this was a leader of the organization and a stalwart and a man who has spent his entire life dedicating it to the liberation struggle. I think all of us should be ashamed of what happened, but I think it's a lesson we must learn from, and I do accept what the President is saying, that we must all apologize for that. And to those where such kind of treatment could have been meted at any one stage, I think we need to regret and say we apologize to all of that.
Dr. Mkhize, but the question one might pose is, why did that leadership of President Jacob Zuma, and which you served as Treasury General, why did it seem so arrogant and ignorant of its own stalwarts that served in the liberation struggle?
Well, there was a very heavy debate on that issue. At the end of the day, we had a very difficult time in the organization. It was important for us to be able to try and find each other. That it didn't happen, we must regret. But we had engagement several times individually and in committee with the veterans. All of us were trying to find solutions. I can't really account for everything just to say that it's an era that is behind us. We went to the conference to basically resolve all those issues, and I'd like us to take a lesson from there and say to all our members, they need to come forward and they must never feel that there is a reason why they should feel shut down or shut out and quietened down. They must always raise it so that we can correct the organization and move our country forward.
Well, that was the Minister of Culture, almost said the Treasurer General of the ANC. Well, it's just a couple of months since he was the Treasurer General of the ANC. We'd like to thank Dr. Zweli Mkhize for speaking to us, saying that Dr. Zola Skweyiya played a very pivotal role in the life of the African National Congress, and he, as a member of the then top 6 of the ANC, regrets the decision that they had taken to shut the doors. While there was never truly a decision to shut the doors on the stalwarts of the ANC, but it was a very heated political environment at the time.
It certainly was, Samkele. I think the words the President used in his eulogy was, and I quote, "Never again will we dishonour the stalwarts of the ANC." Samkele, thank you very much. Indeed, we'll be back to you again later in the day.